Hello, everybody. I think we're live, a couple minutes late, but it's all perfect. Um, let's make sure we're streaming in the group. And so today on Transit Talk, we're in the Gate 21. So I'm all about control. And first person to put in the comments who I am gets something. And I don't know what it'll be, but it'll probably be cerulean blue. Hello. Hi, Carla. So yeah, Gate 21, it's sometimes known as the Gate of the Huntress, but I didn't have any camo or anything. So instead I'm doing the ultimate control diva, right? I tried to do the hair, but there's only so much my hair will do. So I am, I, and then who knows the cerulean blue reference? Thought about maybe wearing cerulean blue, but didn't have that either. So anyway, here I am. And
Gotcha.
welcome.
It's so
I'm thinking actually the real gross part is it was on my daughter's bathroom sink and I had to wash it out with soap so that I could actually even have it sit next to me. It's empty, but it's brown.
Lovely. I don't know if you planned this, but it's absolute perfection because your head is right where her head is.
I know. I saw that after it's all perfectly controlled, right?
It is.
I did not have anything that suited, was that kind of thing, but it's all good. So, and here we are. So welcome everybody. It's Transit Talk. The sun has moved into Gate 21 and the earth is grounding us in Gate 48. And Jess, what are you, did you fall in, are you baby Jessica?
Wait, hold on, explain.
Baby Jessica all grown up. Who knows? Who knows the well reference? Right? Wasn't her name Jessica? The world stood stunned while baby Jessica had fallen into an uncovered well shaft. And how long was she there? Like a long time. Like a couple of days, maybe even. And they finally got her out alive. So baby Jessica was in the well. And I just thought of that when I saw you had something like on your face. I'm like, are you baby Jessica all grown up?
Baby Jessica grown up with me. So today I'm embodying the well, the void, the depth, going into the void. But it's not just the darkness. There's almost like an iridescence to it, right? This is where the magic is. This is where it happened. But the depth isn't readily available. So over here we have, as you start to go in and lean into the depth, into the well, you start to discover things. But at first it's kind of hidden. Yeah, but that's wild. Baby Jessica, okay.
I know you're going to be Googling that one.
I am. I was about to look and I was like, don't look right now. Don't look right now.
Right? Awesome. So, and welcome Carla and Lisa and anybody who's watching live in the group. The Zoom should be in the comments. Somebody said last week that the link didn't work, so I did it a little different with a space. Maybe it'll work this time, but I could probably copy it or paste it in there. Oops.
The Zoom.
Okay. Sorry.
You.
I'm going to put it in there again just in case. So space, maybe it'll work this time, but oops. Sorry.
And it works for me because that's how I got here. So
okay. Well, then
Facebook group and just clicked on the link and brought me right here.
Cool. Good to know. Everything's under control.
Yes. So, and then I don't think it was in the event though, because I sent it to Carla directly.
Carla got my reference. And I said, that's all.
She's like, yeah,
that's all.
I got
Oh, did you get it as well? Yeah. I live under a rock a little bit. I feel like I find out about what's happening in the world as people tell me these things. So,
that's all reference is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to be very curt. That's all. I don't know if I can do it. I can try. I can be controlling, but I don't know if I can be quite Miranda Priestly controlling. So who wants to talk about Gate 21? Do you have screen shares for us, Jess?
I do.
I love that. I don't even have to think about that. Awesome. Well, if you want to share your screen, and I'll talk a little bit about Gate 21, but I only need you to share it for a minute because I like to see people's faces. And just so everybody knows, the Gate 21 is on the Will Center. And it was funny because when Jess and I talk about these things, we always pick who's going to do which energy. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm doing 21 because that is a huge theme in my family. I have a defined will, and so does my daughter. We both have the 2644 channel that connects to the spleen. And my husband has an undefined will with the hanging gate 21. So all three of us have hanging gate 21s, but he is the amplification of our wills. And so it's really been one of those dynamics that I've been observing for years. And I've really seen how I, like through my own regulation, it really impacts my whole family because he will amplify whatever I'm putting out, right? So it feels like more is coming from him, and then I'm like, "Ugh," and then my daughter's like, "Ugh," but then he's like, "Whoa," right? And then we're like, "Whoa, we gotta hold our ground," right? And so it becomes this, like, battle of who's going to control the resources, and there's, like, a whole theme of, um, personal autonomy and all of that that plays out in our family in not nearly the ugly way that I kinda made it sound, but it's definitely there. We also because we also, as I've mentioned, have the theme with the channel of struggle because my husband and I have the electromagnetics and our daughter has the full channel. So that's an interesting theme as well. So when you put that struggle in with the controlling of the resources, it can be like, right? 21 is my daughter's conscious earth. Yeah, conscious earth. She's cross of tension. So that really plays out, and I noticed a couple of people, I don't know if they're it doesn't look like they're watching in the comments yet, but if you're watching this on the replay, there were 2 people in the group who mentioned that they were cross of tension with 48 as their son, and, how difficult this energy has been for them to really understand. And so gate 21, um, for me, has really had this impact. And I didn't even say it's my Jupiter, right? I have my Jupiter gates are 21 and 51, so they're both on my will center. So, and I love the way Karen Curry Parker always says maybe other people say it too, but when you master the lessons of Saturn, you get the gifts of Jupiter. And so my Saturn gates are both gate 13, which is the listener. And that's been really a big thing as I've realized as I listen rather than that battle of who's going to be in control, but really listening to the needs, I can then feel completely different about the way I assert my control in a way that honors my autonomy, but does not create a battle and amplification nearly as much. I'm not going to say I'm perfect because, we're not done until we're done, right? So, but yeah, so that gate 21 energy. So I love letting Jess talk about all the stuff with the visuals that I'm wondering if you want to bring up some of your magic or anything.
I love it.
Magic. She
The thing with the 21, the feeling there for me is just remembering that this is tribal, right? And that there is beauty in the control, not necessarily to control someone, but there is that need for that control. But remembering control is like, could be guardrails when you're on a road on a steep hill, right? That could be the control. Or if you're sitting in the airport and you know how you sit in the chairs and they have those like armrests in between, that's control, right? That's keeping it separate. So seeing, that there is a beautiful part to control because you hear the word control and you can be like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't sound great. But seeing, the beauty in that, in the chaos, right? That balance to both of those. So that's really what comes up for me in that 21. Yeah. And I definitely want to share the comment that people shared, which I absolutely love. Let's dive into the 48 real quick. and then we can hop through these.
Yeah.
So interesting, the cross of
I went
tension.
backwards. For a second, I'm so like focused on the 21. I was like, and um, my daughter's son is 21. No, no, I'm so confused now. I'm not in control.
Where is she? Where is she?
Yeah, her son has to be 21
Yeah. It's
because she's in October. Yeah. So she's right because
Carla's like,
the
no.
son is 21 now. Jessica, you hit your head in the well.
I did.
You said the son, and then I doubted myself.
Which is so
Yeah,
fun.
son is
The son
21 is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Son's in
So
21.
the birthday
That's what
would
I
have to
started
be
saying,
this
but
week.
which is what I thought. Yeah. So we're in 21. Yeah. That's what I started saying. That's what I was talking about. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait.
Where?
I'll be honest. I got onto this call very frazzled because I was trying a little too long to get my hair to do what it doesn't want to do.
Get the
Because you can't control hair, just so you know. Hair is the ultimate test of surrender. Have you ever noticed that? Like
Yeah.
there are just some things your hair is not going to do. And your hairdresser will tell you and you won't believe it. And you'll still tell them to cut it that way. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, I guess it doesn't do that.
Surrender. That's the perfect word right now. Surrendering into what is and what is here, right? Yeah, my hair's still wet. I got out of the shower and it's not even dry. So surrendering to that, right? Let's see. Well, so if we're going to take a quick peek right here, where is 48? So you can see right here, 48. We're in line 1, so 48 in the earth. So this is the grounding energy we're feeling. And just also remembering that the sun and the earth, they're always at opposite places in the earth, right? So feeling that push, that pull between the two of them, the dynamic between these two energies. So the 48 is over here in the splenic center, right here, moving up towards the throat with the 16. And so the 48 in the splenic center, what is the energy here? This is our oldest center. This is survival. This is instincts. This is knowing in the moment, like, do I eat the berries? Don't I eat the berries? It's that that's smelling something like, that doesn't smell right. I don't want to. I'm thinking, I guess I'm hungry. I'm thinking food. Do I want to eat this or not? Or when you walk past something like a street, or if you walk past a restaurant, you're like, oh no, it just doesn't feel, I don't want to go in there. Oh, I feel like in that moment, that instinctual knowing. And this is there's a depth to this, especially in the 48 in the well, that it's not always about the mind knowledge, right? This is a deeper knowing within you for that. So the name of 48 is the well. This is death. And what it's really asking and looking for is there a possibility I can get this up through the throat, that I can get this out and manifest this thing? And it was really beautiful in somebody's comment they wrote that they're always waiting for, like, in a sense, an invitation. They're looking for how to bring out this depth in yourself. And if you think about a well, and if you think about it, you can't see, it's dark, it's deep, you don't really know. And there's like this fear associated in with this depth, like what's even in there, what's going on, right? And then the fear of this is that inadequacy, which I have definitely been feeling. I don't know if you all have been feeling, like, in all the places where you can find that, but seeing the beauty of, I'm getting to dive into the depths of me, into what I'm feeling, what's there in the unknown. And this is one of the most feminine of all the gates, this in the gate 2, right? So we're really in the yin yang energy here, this feminine, this surrender, this leaning into trusting in the void. And sometimes that void can feel really, really uncomfortable because we're so used to being in our minds. We're so used to thinking. We're so used to doing. And just to be in this place of stillness, this place of just quiet connection. And what's even there, right? So if you start to pull it back, you start to look, okay, I will admit I am not the best at face painting, but I went for it. Here it is. I just recently went to a talk from Eckhart Tolle, which was just phenomenal. His energy, his frequency, just sitting and being there with him, was just really, really special. Knocked me out the next day, the whole of Friday I slept. And that's when you've gone into this depth, you've gone into this place that it recalibrates something within you that the whole next day your body's like, okay, hold on. I've got to reset. I've got to find myself and find my footing in this again, right? And so this depth, what he spoke about was so perfect for this activation. So Eckhart spoke about how we live our lives and we're experiencing these waves. So we have these waves, these things that are happening in our life, but this is very surface level. When we are just in this level right here of feeling what's going on the surface, but there's so much more to us. There's that consciousness behind it. There's that awareness, the depths. It's in the depths of the ocean. It's in the dark surrender of what's beneath and really, really, truly connecting into that part of you. And that is the place where we can live our life. This is the place where the magic happens. This is the connective piece where we get to really, truly find what we are about, not just that surface level, not just reacting to what's happening in the waves on that surface. So diving in deep, and whatever methodology works best for you, he speaks about the now.
Mhm.
And we did a beautiful meditation where it was just, I'd love to invite you all to do this if it feels good right now, to just really come back into your body and remembering that the 48 is about the body knowledge. It's this wisdom, right, that we have. It's this instinctual part within us. It's not through the mind. And we're so busy in our mind. So coming back into this place of calm within ourselves, within our body, and trusting that. So just reconnecting back in, just taking a deep breath in your nose and letting it out, and just being present right here, right now, letting go of the future, letting go of the past, letting go of the thoughts, putting them on a shelf right now, just being fully here in this present moment, feeling your body, feeling your breath, noticing who is noticing. What's in this depth of you? Is there something it wants to share? Is there something they're waiting for you? What inadequacies are coming up right now? What fears are coming up? And sending that part of you love, so much love right now. When you get to surrender into that void, into this place, the feminine surrender. Knowing this is where the magic, this is the true connection with. I'm starting to come back, coming back to where we are right now in this moment, but holding on to that now, that presence in the now, that piece of you in the now, in this moment. And that's you, the depth. This is the depth of your well, right? It's not just the things happening on the surface level. It's not the waves. You aren't the waves. You're experiencing the waves, but you are the piece. You are that source. You are the frequency behind that, and connecting into that depth of you, that unknown. Mm.
That was exactly what I needed, Jess. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And it was interesting to observe how I had gone into that place of um, inadequacy when we got into that little, oh, where's the sun? Where's the whatever? Because in that moment, I just got confused, whatever. We all do it, right? We call our kids the dog's name, whatever, we just do stuff, right? And, my daughter always loved that when I would like call her the dog I didn't usually do that. I usually would call the dog her name is more likely what would happen. But, um, we do those things and then we start to like create stories about what it means about us, right? And I think, Jess, you were feeling that a little bit, um, this morning, right? When we were texting about messaging about something.
Yeah,
And
you asked
I'm
me
the
about
only
the dates, and I was like, "Oh, no, did I mess up the dates?" And I went into my mind, and I felt it. I was like, this is interesting."
right? And I
Yeah.
think that's the most beautiful thing right now is to witness. And somebody in the group, which I really don't want to paraphrase. I want to see if I can find the comment that
I
was.
have it up if you want me to
Oh,
read
you do? Awesome. The one from
it.
the Facebook, my Facebook
Uh,
post about
yeah,
that. For
yeah.
those who might be watching this on YouTube, in the Facebook group Intuitive Human Design, I always create a post about the transits. And there were a couple of comments in this particular post that Jess is going to share that I wanted to speak to a little bit about the Gate 21, especially.
I have that. Vicky says, "Personality Gate 21 in the house."
Right.
Vicky would love to hear about that cross of tension. It's been amazing.
Right.
Opposite day. And it definitely can. When this is energy that you're used to in your sun and your earth, it can feel a little
Yeah,
bit there.
it's your half birthday sometime this week, right?
Yeah. Yes. So I just want to make sure we're talking about the same one, right? The Deanna Horn. I can't join the talk today, but maybe this is interesting for you.
Yeah.
Comment. Yes. Okay. So she shared, actually, I figured this out regarding the body. I'm a dancer, and most people tell you how to learn to control your body. This is taught by using a lot of muscle tension. Full tuck in, practice, 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 build muscle memory. A long time I tried dancing, ballroom dance. Then I quit. I hate practicing all the time. I consider myself as lazy, or as I now learned, I am a manifester, no sacral, no root, no will, no identity. Then I learned belly dance. The same, they said, practice. You need to control your body. One day I discovered I can do whirling dervish dance. I never practice. I never get dizzy while turning. I even let myself get dizzy when suddenly stopping during the turning. Then I discovered what I do. I do not control what I do. I just sense my foot staying in one spot, letting my knees be soft to balance every time falling themselves, letting the pictures from my surroundings come to my relaxed, half closed eyes instead of trying to catch where I even travel with this around the room. It is me totally trusting that my body is capable to maintain its balance without my conscious will interfering, aka controlling everything. Control is too much effort, costs me too much energy. My body is not interested in falling. It is perfectly harmonious in its inner circuit and internal communication with my will. It is so relaxing. It never feels like I'm doing anything. Do not let any fear get in control. I am trusting. And the more I turn, like minutes, the more calm I feel when I stop. That is my kind of feeling stillness, like others describe in meditation. This is what it feels like to surrender. If interested, you can see me whirling in YouTube. And she's got Diana Dance Violet Devotion. So your blog answers remind me when I'm ready, when I'm able. So she's just saying, thank you so much. You already know it. I'm my free dancing rather than controls. But isn't that so beautiful? Like she found her own way to do it, her own way that feels good, regardless of like everybody else going, well, this is how you dance. This is how you practice. This is the muscle memory. Yeah, maybe that works for you. And that's part of the depth of the 48 too, right? How do you find and how do you bring out that depth? Is through experimentation, right? Through doing that, through trying it, through diving into the depths to say, what is there?
Yeah. That's really beautiful. Honestly, I hadn't seen that comment because that was earlier this morning and I hadn't seen that one yet. That's really beautiful. When I said yes when you said it was Diana, and I'm glad you read that because um I had seen her comment yesterday where she was talking about what how she was had she said, "Really, really need to figure this out. My son is in 2148 and she has a 3839. I don't get it. My heart undefined. They say the sun makes up 70% of your chart energy. How when not consistently active?" And then she talks a little bit more about her chart. And so Um, I think she kind of answered her own question with that other comment though, right? That you just read,
Mhm.
because, there are a lot of us who have our incarnation cross gates on our undefined centers, right? I don't know. Carla, do you have any of your incarnation cross gates on undefined centers?
No, not undefined centers, but there is an aspect to this that I'm gonna listen and then I'll share if
Okay.
there's something else
Awesome.
to add.
Um, so I have both my sun gates on my undefined sacral. And for the longest time, I was always like, how the same thing. How is this 70% of who I am when I don't have access to it on a regular basis, right? And I
Finish
think that
reading
with our
right here.
let's
Undefined, so meaning not colored. And just for anybody
right.
who's following that isn't
Yes.
familiar with it,
Yes.
when you don't have the center defined, you don't have consistent access to that energy in
Right.
there. You don't necessarily do it in a consistent way. And so if you look right here in the transit where we have the three, so it's the gates activated, but the centers activated is what Kathy's talking about. And that's her sun energy, which it's again, that's like 70% of your energy, but not on an activated center. Her sacral isn't activated, but the gate is.
And Diana's saying that is it Diana or Deanna? I think it was Diana. But so she was saying that she has the 21 on an undefined will center. So again, it's a motor that's only activated when it's defined by something else. Anywhere we have openness, we have access to the full spectrum of that energy. But because it's the full spectrum, and this is one of those things where, like, there's this idea in my ajna, and I'm gonna try to explain it, and then someone else will have to translate it because I'm sure I'm gonna miss all of it. But there's this whole idea with particles where we can either measure the movement or the place, because as soon as we measure the place, the movement stops, right? So the same is true with any energy. So if we are um, really measuring that energy, tuning into it, we're stopping it for that moment we're getting it in in a particular area. So like right now where the energy is measured for today, it's in a specific static moment. But I believe we have access to all the energy all the time. And we just have to allow ourselves to um, focus on it, draw it in. And so if I am not feeling like my 14-6 is my conscious sun. And everything says that's like the most powerful business, abundance, all this kind of thing, right? But I spent so many years, I need my two. I need my two. Jess is my two. But, calling in my two, right? I'm calling in my two. But really realizing that I'm not missing the two. I have access to all of the two. And when you start to really consciously contemplate the energy of those open centers that connect to your hanging centers, you can understand your energy in a whole new way that opens it up and sees that it's all perfect. And it's still very uncertain at the same time. So there's this like, it's really, I feel like the energy that we have, for lack of a better term, the curriculum we've all been getting right now, which is the idea that we don't know what it is, but it's perfect. It's all uncertain, but it's perfect, right? Like just being able to be in the flow of the energy and not give up. It's not about giving up. It's about surrendering, as you said earlier, right? And being present in the now of the energy and doing exactly what Diana said she does with her body, tuning in. And I loved what you said, Jess, about I don't remember what it was, but there was stuff you were saying about the 48 where I was like, yeah, this is the energy of connecting with the depths of the wisdom in our body. 21 is that 2145 is the money line. It's a very material almost 3D world kind of gate, right? But the 48 is really the depths and the soul of who we are. And I think when we really ground ourselves in that. And I feel like that's exactly where everything is driving us to really, with Neptune moved into Aries today for the first time in 100 and some odd years.
Cool.
And so, yeah, it's like since the Civil War or something like that, like around then. So, um, that was more than 100, whatever. Going down one
Don't ask me,
kind
Dave.
of rabbit hole. But that's what I've heard several times. That was the last time it was in Aries. So it is this real energy of this Aries energy, but in this Neptunian flavor is really going to change a lot of the dynamic. And we don't know what that's going to look like. And instead of getting in our mind, trying to control it, trying to fix it all, just to kind of, like you said, observe it. I'm the observer, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also this piece, with the 48, that it has the energy of potentially frustration to it, right? Where it feels like I have all this depth here and I have like these solutions, which, need to be more of the practical solutions because it is in logic, but that it's like, do I have that 16? Do I have the skills to get this out? Because it doesn't have the motor, right? That it's going, how can I bring this into manifestation? So really also recognizing where there is a frustration for, if that recognition isn't showing up, this is where you're looking at the energy of like the unknown artist. And there's such like depth to their beautiful art that they'll be discovered later. So seeing and acknowledging that piece of frustration in that. It's also called the gate of black magic, the 48. And that is the way Ra described it was like, if you think about an astrologer, they're sitting there with your chart and they're sitting there and they have all this depth, they have all this knowledge, and you're sitting on the other side and you're like, I have no idea. Like, tell me the things. And they have all of this within them to bring to you. So also, just feeling into how does that feel right now, and honoring when you are feeling that piece of feeling insignificant, but remembering that that's the surface level, because we have that fear of not, I don't know how to say this, not existing, of not being important, but recognizing we already are so, so deliciously, beautifully whole and fill in when we lean into the depth of ourselves. Like, we are actually here to be the depth, the well when we go, but we have to face ourselves when we go into this well. When we go into this darkness, we come face to face with ourselves. We come face to face with our fears. And that's where we find that beauty and find that.
yeah, that's really beautiful. And the whole idea, of how these gates pair together always, right, with these programming partners of the opposition, how we have been allowing ourselves to determine our worth. The will center is where self-worth lives, right? Just and determine our worth based on how well we manage our resources, right? And what we have. And it's going to be really interesting to see how those things are going to shift as we are entering these new things with, Pluto now in Pisces and now Neptune having moved into Aries. There's all these shifts in how we're going to do business and as we get closer to 2027. But I want to back up and let Carla, if you have not lost your thoughts that you had, I would really love to hear what you were thinking.
I would love to just introduce Carla real quick. So Carla is just freaking amazing. I love her to death. We met in Santa Fe, and she is like a wizard with essential oils. If anybody's looking to learn more about like your centers and how to work with essential oils, also absolutely phenomenally amazing with human design and pairing the two together. So I did a course with her where she spoke to and taught us about all the different circuits and how everything works with essential oils and what helps support you. And I got a body oil and a mind oil from her that's catered specifically to my unique human design. It's wild. It's amazing. And the moment I put it on my body, my whole body, it felt like electricity. It was like, oh, hi. It like woke something up, and things have been moving, and especially moving through these transits. the support these essential oils have brought to me. I mean, I would say I wasn't really an essential oil person before. But after my like personal experience of it. So if you are looking for anything in support with that, I highly recommend Carlin for sure. She's phenomenal.
So thank you, Jess. It's funny is like right now, what I'm feeling in my body is just like, because I have electromagnetics right now. I have the 16, I have the 45. So this transit is always a really powerful one for me because I am feeling that like drive for control more than normal, right? And I'm feeling that like, am I ready to share what I know and what I have solutions for? And it's fun to have this kind of conversation right now. Um, what I was going to say about incarnation cross gates being in undefined centers, you can think of those dormant gates as light switches. And so for a lot of people, it's a light switch when you have an electromagnetic, when somebody else has the center defined and you're amplifying it, it's switching on the light, right? And now you have a filter to be able to experience that energy through to gain the wisdom. But when it's an incarnation cross gate, it's like a floodlight, right? Like you're turning it on and it's like the whole warehouse lights up. And now you have all of this opportunity to share the wisdom that you have gained through your experience and having this gate as an incarnation cross gate that is also a dormant potential. So it's, again, I agree. I don't think you don't have access to the energy, but you also don't get to fully embody and experience the energy like a floodlight unless it's being activated either through an electromagnetic or transits or somebody who has the center defined.
That's a
So
beautiful analogy. And what comes to me is once the floodlight has been on and you've seen the landscape now, right? And you have a sense of where where things are that comes and can stay with you even if the light goes out for a minute, right? Like if the lights come on in a room that was pitch dark, kind of know where the table is so you don't walk into it even if the light goes out again. So it helps us to navigate that energy even when we don't have that connection. And there's all kinds of variables. Like I'm wondering, Carla, your gates that you're talking about, those hanging gates, do any of these connections we have now between having the 21 and the 48, does that define any centers for you, or are those centers
yes,
all defined?
yeah. Nope, I have an undefined heart and I have an undefined flame, and those two are activated right now through the transit. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity for me to be able to, I mean, electromagnetics are opportunities to learn,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're education channels. So they're opportunities for you to really learn how it is that energy is affecting you. And I just love when it's a sun earth transit because you've got a full, 6 days of being able to move through the experience, and not just the experience of the gate itself, but like the story within the gate, the hexagrams, right? You're moving from the foundation all the way through the sixth line, which is giving you that example, right? Role model opportunity of being able to recognize for yourself what this energy is. So like, I just I love it. I love when like the line that I have, right? I have 45 too. So when tomorrow, when 21's in two, I'm really going to have some opportunities to learn about that electromagnetic frequency, right? And then when it's in 5, the harmonic resonance, right? So it's just being able to like, for yourself, I think, at least this is what I do. I like to move through it and just kind of keep track of like, wow, what is it that really feeling driven to do? What do I want to embody right now? What do I want to learn? What do I want to share? What do I want to, am I being a control freak? Because that's always on the table because, it's pointing at an undefined heart. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really great, I love this transit. And then my son and my mother's birthday are April 1st. So I'm very familiar with 21 energy. My mom has the full channel. My youngest son has the full channel My oldest son has the 21 and his son undefined heart. So I've been learning about this energetic frequency for a very long time, just through life experience. And yeah,
So that's really interesting because then your son defines those centers for you through those electromagnetics.
yeah. And this is one of the hardest electromagnetics to have, the 2145.
Yes. I,
And it's been exactly that with my oldest.
Isn't it beautiful to understand though? When you're like, okay, I see it. I get it. Okay. I love that moment. Yeah.
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 My sister has the 21 on an undefined will center, and her daughter has the whole 2145. That's a really hard compromise, especially when you're the parent and you're being compromised by your now
Mhm.
adult daughter. You know what I mean? Like that energy is really tricky to navigate. So, Lisa, do you have any of this defined in your chart? No?
How does it feel for you right now? I don't have this defined either, and it was quite a thing. I called in support.
I spend a lot of time reading up and listening to the pulse and the gene keys on the
Mhm.
ones I don't have. I don't know that I'm feeling anything particularly today except for tiredness because our clocks finally went forward.
Yeah.
And so I am just exhausted. It's also Mother's Day here. And I had lunch with my son because it's 5:45 here. And I'm not really feeling anything that I can measure at the moment.
Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, obviously, I'm not, because sometimes we don't recognize it all. And also, sometimes, one of the things when you were talking, Jess, or somebody was talking about the noticing the transits. Oh, Carly, you were talking about how we have it for 6 days. I was thinking about how much I'm learning from this 3536 ongoing transit. I don't have either of those centers to find. And that bridges a split for me. I'm a triple split. So I'm had this constant emotional manifester energy bridging my split. Um, you know, screaming at me to have these emotional experiences, right? And it's been really interesting as I can't recommend enough the idea of really using something to contemplate your energies, something like, I'm doing it with the transits, but even some people, doing it with just going through the gene key the archetypes one at a time, or, contemplating the gate energy deeply. But these transit, which start out, I read a report in the group, which is really very like, this is how the energy works. And then that is kind of my foundation to think, okay, this is how the energy's working right now. What's that feeling like for me? Where is this showing up? How am I relating to that? And then that's where the blog comes from. And this one, it was like instantaneous. Oh, here's what I'm going to write about. Because I knew how much I was trying to control everything and make it perfect, and how much um, knew I was being called into new emotional experiences that were requiring me to be able to let it go, right? I chose the word simplify as my word for 2025. And there's so many times I keep going, where are you simplifying? You keep saying simplify. What's getting simpler? Where, where, and I'm trying to structure things more, make more systems, whatever, but what am I letting go of? And what I'm choosing to let go of is this controlling need to do it all perfectly, right? And it's not like now that I said that it's going to be done. It's going to be an ongoing thing, right? So Jess, you're going to remind me. And I already am now going, oh, I was going to ask you because I forgot again. I wanted to record this a different way. And I forgot before we started because I was messing with my hair.
The hair looks great though. It's perfect, right?
No, the hair's fine. It's good, but whatever. I've just saying, it's one of those things where you sit there and in your mind you go, oh, once again, you didn't, and then it's easy to start. So that's another way I'm simplifying. I'm letting go of that. I'm not going to allow myself to say how much harder this is going to be because I didn't test it on this. And now I'm recording a podcast tomorrow and I don't know if I fixed the problem I need to fix from the last podcast and da da da. You know what I mean?
Where are you right now, though? Where are you? Where's your energy?
Where's my energy?
Yeah.
Here.
In your mind. Yeah, it's in your mind. And
But when I'm
yes,
doing that, it's in my mind. So that's what I'm saying. That's where I can simplify is let go of that, right?
right. And that's that surface level again, that wave I attempted to make.
Maybe you should have put it on the side, pulled your hair back on the side with the wave, or you could do it now. You could move
No, that's the whole point.
I
It's
know, I
hidden.
know.
It's
But
a hidden depth. And I put it on the left side, the feminine, right? But recognizing, getting to that place where we realize like our mind is a beautiful part of us here. But, our thoughts aren't who we are, but allowing those thoughts, allowing those thoughts and just, going, okay, isn't that interesting? I see how that's coming up. And starting to sit with that, like you said, contemplating. And then also, Lisa mentioned gene keys, which reminds me with the 48, there's this really cool story where Richard Rudd was in Scotland and there was like I can't remember if it wasn't a well, it was some kind of like a lake or something. And there was a dare for him to like jump into it. And it was freezing cold. And one night, like in the middle of the night, he walks out there, just takes off his clothes and he's standing there. He's like, I was so scared and I could feel like this primal fear inside of me. And then it just happened. I just jumped in. I didn't do it. It wasn't a decision. I just jumped into this water. And he said it was one of the most exhilarating things he's ever done. It was just like so cool to just feel into that energy of him being there. And that's part of diving into the depths of this is that it's a little bit of a shock to your system when you're in the void because we're so busy in our minds and we're so busy. What's happening? What's the future? What's my past? What are the patterns that are playing out in our mind and stepping out of that, right? To come back to that depth. Also just wanted to add real quick, the other thing about depth is that it's not logical in the way that our mind puts value. Because I remember you were talking value, and it's not necessarily what we find valuable in our minds. There might be depth on things that you're like, why does this even matter? But you get to find the beauty in these things and remember these parts in your depth. So it's not always by what can I do with this thing? What is the actual value of this thing? It gets to be part of your depth. The things you remember. I think Ra talked about how he remembered like jingles from like commercials and there's like just all these random like things that you remember in your depth. So also looking out for judgment, that you get to go, I am deep. I feel this depth within me. So seeing how that, and again, experimenting and playing and seeing how does this show up for you uniquely and having that compassion. I think it was Richard Rudd who talks about the well having the structure, the support around it and how that's really, really important to the well to get into the depths, to have that support, have that structure. And I know I definitely felt that. On Friday, I was like, okay, my parents live like probably 5 minutes down the street. And I was like, okay, I need some help with some things. And they came over and having that support and having that little bit of extra help when you're like, okay, there's things that are coming up right now. There's things I'm moving through. And again, it like knocked me on my butt after that session. And so finding, do I need support? What does it look like to call in that support as I dive into the depths within me?
Yeah. And, just to shift to another transit that we haven't talked about is, Mercury is still retrograde for this week. And right now it's actually conjunct Neptune in gate 25. And that feels really relevant to the beautiful depth of communication that we're having right now. We talked about Neptune has moved into Aries. Well, now we have the combination of these two things in this really deep gate of the self. And, what's that calling us to look at? surrender to in our own spirit. And gate 25, line 2, if I'm remembering right, yes, is the existentialist. So, and it is also exalted in Mercury is exalted in line 2. And I'm really mental note to find out. Carla's very much smiling at that, so I'm going to want your feedback here. Devotion and dedication to the now, the perfection of the intellect through concentration and focus on what is rather than what could be or has been. The innocence of the self and its protection can only be maintained in the now, which is exactly what you've been talking about, Jess, right? It's like this should be called the line of Eckhart Tolle, right?
It is. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. We'll make a deck
I want to
made.
see his chart now. Do you think he has ours in 25 too or something? I don't know.
I have to look it up. I can't look that up now.
Anyway, Carla, what you started laughing as soon as I started talking about this.
Well, I'm just thinking about the fact that the next transit we have is the sun in 25.
Yeah.
So like with Mercury retrograde right now, kind of setting that stage, revisiting communication or words, the things we've, verbally manifested and expressed and communicated, all of those themes kind of setting us up perfectly for next week. And knowing that it's going to be the entire channel too. We're going to have the channel of initiation because of Neptune, right?
Yeah.
So like
51.
Just being aware of like, okay, well, what are you letting go of this week? What are you leaning into? What wavelength are you riding, right? Especially when it comes to the material plane, because that's the two different things happening with the 1648 and the 2145. And then how is that going to shift and take you into a new direction potentially? Just, and then like new moon energy yesterday as well,
Yes.
right? On top of it, partial eclipse. So being able to really like look at the storyline for the entire cycle of this new moon and what's coming. Like we've got the 21, or I'm sorry, the 5125, right? That's going to kick it off a new direction.
Neptune's in 25 right now.
Yeah. But it'll still be there next week when we have the 51 as our sun.
Oh, yeah. You said the sun was going into 25 and I hadn't.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it's going into 51 now that you said.
Yeah.
You remember that. I was like, oh, I think we already did 25. Okay. Yeah.
My bad.
It's okay.
Yes. So you have that whole storyline that's kicking off.
All
so
perfect.
like we have initiation into a new direction. And then after that, we've got endings with 42, right? And then you've got, I think, chaos. There's something in between there. No, chaos is next, gate 3, right? Ordering. So how is that going to show up for a lot of people? You have that channel of mutation for a lot of people. And then after that is 27. But 42, 3, and 27 are all in the sacral. How many people with Neptune, right, are going to be like initiated into a new direction and then they're going to burn their sacral out? So like just being aware right now with the moon and the sun and the earth all lining up with 2148, how can you let go of the things you cannot control so that you don't create chaos that's not necessary? How can you lean into the intuitive awareness of your body and know through pattern, what it is that you can commit your energy to and when is enough? Right? I just love it. I love this new moon cycle. I think it's going to be really, really good.
And it's a really beautiful story that you painted. And what is the most powerful for me, and like I was saying about this idea of really exploring the transits, because a lot of people are like, who cares? It's not me. My energy is my chart. I just whatever. But for me, it allows it to happen for me instead of to me, because with awareness, I can see the high expression, the low expression. And I always say, when you feel the low expression of something, that's the shadow. So when you see a shadow, where's the sun? Behind you. Turn around. So if I'm seeing the shadow, if I'm feeling that come up, I can turn and face the sun, and not literally, metaphorically, change the way I'm experiencing the energy. through awareness. So it becomes something that happens for me instead of to me.
Oh, I love that visual. There's actually a song I listen to with my girls. It's Turn It Around. And when just there's that icky energy and we're like, okay, we've got to change this. And we put the song on Turn It Around. I love that though. Your shadow, you got to turn towards the sun. Yeah. Oh, that feels so good. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was
Did
really
you say, sorry, did you say 42, 3, and 27? And
Those are
some,
going to be the next sun, like the next suns that we move through.
yeah, because
Those
I
are,
have,
this
I have
was
all of
coming up.
those.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the what is also really cool, I try to listen to a few astrology things too, because I do think and there are layers that astrology brings in that we miss in human design. Um and Richard Corbett is somebody I've had on the podcast. I just did a podcast that's releasing tomorrow evening with him and Brandy together, Brandy Jordan. But he talks about how human design is the mechanics, but astrology brings in this beautiful mythology. And I was listening to, uh, it's kind of a Sunday routine for me. I always listen to two different little short astrology things. I listen to Tanaz from Forever Conscious, and I listen to Kirsty Gallagher, who is a new one. She's somewhere, I don't know if she's in the UK or in Australia, but she's definitely got an accent. And she's not in America. But I love her. Her things are only 15 minutes long and they're always like, I take notes. And she was talking about how this is a week that's kind of quiet because we have so much to integrate from last week. And I don't know if anybody else felt it, but I had made a comment to somebody. I was on a group call with some friends and I was like, yeah, insight, insight, insight. Oh my God, insight. Like that's what it's felt like all week, like a boom, boom, just things just keep dropping in, right? And so now we have all this integration to do. And so what can we do to kind of ground ourselves in our body? And I want to go do maybe I'll go try to twirl and not fall over after listening. I don't even think I can twirl more than twice without falling down now these days. So, but really looking at what we can do to ground in our body this week, because this is the last week of Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. And those have been really powerful retrograde cycles for us, right? Asking us to go back and look at how we're navigating our relationships and our sense of self and how we communicate. And so what I thought was really cool, Jess, you'll get a kick out of this. Mercury goes direct on Monday the 7th and Venus goes direct on Saturday the 13th or Sunday the 13th. Yeah. So basically they're like bookending our experience in Austin. I feel like that's feels very powerful and karmic or something. So
I love very karma. I cannot wait. All the karma thing.
yeah. We're going to for those who don't know, we're going to an event in Austin with Chetan Parkin and his wife. The first 2 days are a relationship.
I think karma first and then relationship.
No, I thought that too, but I think they changed it because I went and double checked because somebody else said it because I have a friend who's only going to the karma and she's coming Thursday and Friday. And I was like, oh, that's backwards. And I went and looked and nope. So yeah. Okay.
Vicky said I'm a right angle cross of tension with a double 44 in Neptune and gate 63 moon. I spend hours looking at patterns and testing them, then double checking to make sure I've got it perfectly. It can be such a freaking loop. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And Vicky lives in Austin. We're going to get to meet her in person.
Vicky, we'll see you in Austin. That's exciting.
At the Cosmic Pickle for anybody who lives in Austin.
Yeah. On Pickle Road.
On Pickle Road.
That made me so excited. I was like, I have to look this place up. It's
Right.
on Pickle Road. I have a thing with pickles. I love pickles. I've got a kid's book I'm writing on pickles too. But so then Shauna says, I've got the 8 gate and the 3 going on at the moment. Home, my kid's favorite movie. Yes, that's such a cute movie. I love that one. smiley face, relationship, and then karma. Oh, okay. It is relationship and then karma. Okay.
'Cause I
Well,
just sent it to Vicky, so I'm sure she
oh, did you?
covered
Okay. So it's the other.
Vicky?
Yeah.
Um,
No,
yeah.
that's
So okay. So we were talking about the retrogrades ending, and we talked about, oh, it's already top of the hour. So I don't know. Anybody have any final thoughts on any of that babble? I'm good
fully
at just like
responding.
stream of consciousness or lack of consciousness and just chatty Cathy.
And just remembering it's perfect. However you
Right.
experience this transit right now, it's like, do I go through this in an elegant way or not? Okay, I've experienced it, right? Just, step into that awareness and go, that was interesting. That it doesn't have to necessarily be any one which way. Like, however I navigate and move through this, it's perfect. Right?
Right. Yeah. Because sometimes the things that feel the least perfect in the moment bring the most perfect awareness and insights in the later, right? So everything is perfect. That's all.
Yeah. Go into the void.
All
Jump
right,
in.
everybody. Now I got to remember how to. I always feel like I get done and then I'm like, oh, wait, how do I stop the streaming? I think I have the wrong thing up. So anyway, peace out, everybody. I still can't find how to turn the damn thing off.
Yeah.
Seriously, I popped
we're
up
never leaving.
Windows. So bye, everybody. Still here. Still here. Wait, here it is. End live video.